Precious gems. You might spend half of your yearly income getting a diamond ring for a significant other when you're proposing to spend a lifetime with them. But diamonds and other precious gems are just kind of laying all over the place. They're not even that special until they're cut. I have somewhat mixed emotions about this episode. We've been running an episode per day during our 30-day Kickstarter campaign for our Tesseract Dice, and these actually happen to be two of the dice today in focus, the Diamond and the Ruby dice. We're talking about precious gems, but before we say goodbye, we do have a couple more great episodes for you, and it isn't really goodbye, but we'll get to that in a later episode. For now, precious gems. The Greeks and Romans believed that diamonds were the tears of the gods, fallen to earth and solidified. They also believed that Cupid, son of Aphrodite, tipped his arrows that would cause mortals to fall in love with diamonds. It's actually because of that legend that we put diamonds in our rings in the first place. It's a promise of love from Cupid, from the god of love himself, to promise to your significant other that you'll spend a lifetime with them. But diamonds aren't made hundreds of miles in the air on Mount Olympus by the gods. They're actually made hundreds of miles below the surface in volcanic conditions. But not volcanic like Vulcan, the Roman god of the forges and the fire, though that is where it comes from. Volcanic like formed in volcanoes. Diamonds are essentially just carbon, the same stuff you put in barbecues to cook food, except it's been exposed to enormous force and pressure and heat. Because of this extreme denseness and force and heat, they're cooked to such a temperature and such a structure that they're the hardest things known to man. The only thing that can scratch a diamond is another diamond, and these things are just laying all over the place in Africa, all over the ground, just for the taking. But the people who own the land choose to cut a few and release them slowly to keep the supply and demand up. Africa isn't the only place with diamonds, though, and it's not just the European culture, the Greek and Roman culture that values them. It's basically the whole world, anywhere from India to Europe to Africa to China. They were believed to have some sort of great force, either healing powers or spiritual powers, either bringing balance to your body or balance to your life around you, keeping bad spirits away. European kings actually believed that they were so good for your health that they would wear them into battle, believing that they would bring them immortality. Ruby, we also have here, is actually another one of the precious gems, not quite as popular nor as valuable some of the time as diamonds, but it is just as spectacular. The interesting thing about rubies is they have to be a specific color to be called a ruby. Even faint pink rubies are more categorized as a sapphire than a ruby. Interestingly enough, they're the same kind of a substance almost, except for colors and a couple of chemicals that make them up, but they're almost completely the same. The Bible equates rubies with beauty and wisdom, and they're not the only culture that does that either. The countries where most rubies come from, Madagascar, India, and Thailand, also have a sort of reverence for the rubies. And the perfect rubies color is called pigeon's blood. A little grotesque. Thanks again, weird scientists, for your crappy namings of things. But pigeon's blood is a dark, deep red with a hint of blue. It can't be pure red. It has to be an almost deep red to the point of being purple kind of color. Apparently it resembles pigeon's blood, I guess. Google wasn't much help on that one. The crazy thing is, if rubies are big enough and cut spectacularly enough, they're actually more expensive than any diamond of the same caliber. Mostly because they're actually rare. Diamonds might be scattered all over the ground, but rubies are actually more rare because of their color, because if they aren't that perfect pigeon blood, they're called sapphires. Sapphires are also a precious gem, but they're not quite as valuable. They can come in many different colors, and blue is actually one of the rarest, though that is the perfect kind of sapphire. And last but not least, though not technically a precious gem like the other threes are, we're going to talk about amethyst. It's this really interesting rock formation that kind of comes in this cantaloupe looking exterior, but when you crack it open, it has all sorts of crystalline purple jewels on the inside, and they're really spectacular. The reason why I still kept it on this list is because technically rubies, diamonds, and sapphires are all birthstones, and so is amethyst. It happens to be my father's, so I thought I'd include it on the list. It made a nice color for the dice as well, so I thought I'd include it. Amethyst is also worn to make the wearer gentle, happy, peaceful, dreaming, loving, and courageous, which are all great traits, which is why I thought I'd actually include the amethyst on this list. It may not technically be a precious gem like the other ones, but it is a precious and beautiful crystal that's used as a birthstone. So welcome to the list, Amethyst. Thank you so much for watching our last episode on the Tesseract Dice. Not the last for this episode, far from it, but the last for this series. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check us out on Kickstarter in our final hours, and make sure to like and share this video, because the greatest compliment you can give us, other than getting a pair of our awesome Tesseract dice from us, is by liking and sharing this video with a friend or a family member. And make sure to check us out tomorrow when we're going to give you our final thank yous, our final wrap up on the project, all of our success, kind of some stories along the way, and also start talking about what's going to happen with this channel after the 30 days are up. See you guys then.